So nothing concrete has been achieved. But even then, a few, of course, succeeded to attain for themselves a state in which they can leave this earth. I mean, they can attain some state of peace and divinity and merge in it, by which they closet themselves. And also Buddha, as you know, we all know about the Buddha. He also liberated himself and settled in nirvana. So all these ventures were some kind of a escape, departure from earthly scene, because all believed that it is impossible here on earth to get any kind of permanent peace or ananda, which is a no-no in this earth. So most of them, with personal effort, left to beyond earth and merge themselves with the divine, or remain closeted in this peace, in this state of peace and ananda, leaving behind the humanity to toil behind in this earth. So it is only Sri Aurobindo who first revealed to humanity that the journey of human being, the man, is an evolutionary one, and he does not stop short in his ordinary mental consciousness, but go beyond, but has to surpass himself to go beyond the state in different planes of ascension of consciousness, and also to a new form, which translates to his famous words, Sri Aurobindo's famous words, which we know very well, that man is a transitional being. That means he is not final. Transitional means he has to undergo change. So when he says that man is a transitional being, he means that he is not final and he has to prepare himself to surpass himself to a new form which was unheard till that time when Sri Aurobindo's advent on earth was effected. So it is a deliberate, we can say a deliberate process of the divine himself, by which at the right moment of time, at the right juncture only, the divine extended himself, or coming down, embodied himself in two avatars, one in Sri Aurobindo and the other the mother. So at this stage, although it seemed to be very confusing, or we may say very awkward, to think that a new form can take shape in place of human being, whatever we had been seeing, the physical form of human being, it seemed to be somewhat confusing and totally unconceivable. But it is precisely that for which Sri Aurobindo and the mother came as twin avatars. And what Sri Aurobindo envisages regarding this, we'll just take a look. I'll just read out a few lines. Of course, this is very important. That's why I just wanted to read it. A new humanity of mental beings, whose principle of mentality would be no longer a mind in the ignorance, seeking for knowledge, but even in its knowledge bound to the ignorance, a seeker after light, but not its natural possessor, open to the light, but not an inhabitant of the light, not yet a perfected instrument, truth conscious and delivered out of the ignorance. Instead, it would be possessed already of what could be called a mind of light, a mind capable of living in the truth, capable of being truth conscious and manifesting in its life a direct in place of an indirect knowledge. Its mentality would be an instrument of the light and no longer of the ignorance. At its highest, it would be capable of passing into the supermind, and from the new race would be recruited the race of supramental beings who would appear as the leaders of the evolution in earth nature. What does that mean? In fact, so long the whole of humanity was under a mental state, a mental consciousness which was ordinary and tied to ignorance. Now, what he speaks of, what Sri Aurobindo speaks of, there will be a light, there will be a mind of light which is much higher than that used to be here on earth. And that will slowly rule, initially at least, rule the mental consciousness through which human being will be prepared to receive higher light so that he can be freed from ignorance, from suffering and all, slowly and slowly. So this being the case, of course it seems to be very complex, but it is a sure and certain developmental process through which human being has to go. And in fact, of these actually, precisely on 29th February 1956, of which we know already that the supramental manifestation took place. So that being the greatest event on earth, the supramental manifestation. So what it did, it slowly penetrated into the whole earth atmosphere and speeded up the whole process. Now, as the mother says, even the most blind and septic mind will have no other alternative but to oblige with the marvel that will unveil itself through this action of the force, that is the supramental force. But meanwhile, what is happening on earth of such a nature which has the capacity to change the whole human consciousness, right from our mind right down to the physical body. It is such a I mean huge sort of action which it entails. It has to go through a birth pang. You know, when a lady gives birth to her child, so the pain is very, very strong. If I correctly remember, it is 9.5 dolls. I think it is measured in dolls. The proper measurement unit is 9.5 dolls. That means it has the intensity which is so high. And likewise, when the whole earth, the whole humanity goes through such kind of an action in the whole of earth, which is a new birth, it has to undergo such of its pain also. It's called the birth pang. So, meanwhile, we are going through this birth pang, and because of this only, we have been seeing throughout the world so many untoward happenings. It started long time back, since that time only, and picking up with the passing of days, and slowly culminating with world shaking events also, like the one we have seen the last 1.5 years back. Its impact is still going on. I'm talking about the COVID incident. So, likewise, so many events have taken place in the art scene which we couldn't conceive of, which had a great impact on Earth, of course, to the detriment of our liking. But still, it has been so. And it is only because, as we said earlier also, that it is the birth pang. Because a new world is emerging out of the old one. The old consciousness, which we were going through, the whole humanity was going through earlier, was giving way to the incoming one, the new one. So it is something which was unheard of, unconceivable of, and it has its own impacts. And as Aurobindo said, that it might take almost 200, between 250 and 300 years. And we have already passed 65 years since the supramental manifestation took place in the art scene in 1956, 29th February. So we'll have to bear the pang as it is. And what mother said regarding this also is very, very important, which I would like to once, although I know that you all are aware of it, have gone through it, have read it, but still I would once again like to re-emphasize what she had said. We are now witnessing the birth of a new world. It is very young, very weak, not in its essence, but in its outer manifestation, not yet recognized, not even felt, denied by the majority. But it is here. It is here making an effort to grow, absolutely sure of the result. But the road to it is a completely new road, which has never before been traced out. Nobody has gone there. Nobody has done that. It is a beginning, a universal beginning. So, it is an absolutely unexpected and unpredictable adventure. There are people who love adventure. It is these I call, and I tell them this. I invite you to the great adventure. It is not a question of repeating spirituality, what others have done before us. Here I would like to pause a while just to say something, because you see a lot of people nowadays, whenever someone gets a little bit inclined towards something which they call spirituality, or coming out of the mundane affairs, they just are on the threshold of spirituality, and without having true or correct knowledge, they seem to mix up all the parts of spirituality as one. They say that finally it is the divine to which every path leads to. That is true. But to which path? The question is, to which path? Only the divine? If it is the divine, then it will be the same as we discussed in the first portion of our discussion, that it would have been the same thing if we continued with that. That means if I am to, or if I wish to liberate myself from the suffering, from all that I do not want in this earth scene, then I'll finally try to attain for myself or achieve for myself that state in which I'm untouched. And finally, without uh, seeing anything, any prospect down here, over here on earth, I'll slowly cross over to the beyond, where I'm very much fine, nothing disturbs me there, and I'm liberated through whatever way possible, through whatever way of tapasya. So that is the old path of yoga. Sri Aurobindo is not talking about that. He is talking about the whole earth, all the people who are living on earth. He is concerned about them living here, if only it is possible for each one of us living on earth to ride over all the troubles, all the difficulties, all the illness, and finally that act of meek surrender to what we call the sophist God. So all this has to go according to Sri Aurobindo. And it is only he who, along with the mother, took up the task through which they wanted, or rather they are still doing and taking up the work of transformation of earthly nature to make it alive divine. So although a lot of people in the first cursory look have some kind of an idea like which we discussed, so it is not true. It is altogether a different, and finally, in fact, it is the route towards which all convergence are leading, are taking shape to. So where we left, we'll just start from there only. So she says, there are people who love adventure. It is these I call, and I tell them this. I invite you to the great adventure. It is not a question of repeating spirituality, what others have done before us. For our adventure begins beyond that. It is a question of a new creation, entirely new, with all the unforeseen events, the risks, the hazards it entails. A real adventure whose goal is certain victory, but the road to which is unknown and must be traced out step by step in the unexplored. Something that has never been in this present universe and that will never be again in the same way. If that interests you, well, let us embark. What will happen to you tomorrow, I have no idea. So that's it. Now it suffices to get the conclusion that it is something else altogether. It is not the same thing which people have been doing, or through which paths people have been trying to attain divine. It is not only attaining divine, but attaining divine and changing human nature also, the outward nature, here only in this earth. So that's a clarion call of the mother, clear and precise, of course, with an assurance of victory. So, and the untraced path mentioned, which she mentions, is the path of integral yoga. And of course, now we know that it is not the ones, not the same paths that we should practice here, but it is a synthesis of all and even beyond. That is integral yoga. And but to tread the path of this integral yoga, to collaborate in the work of works, as Sri Aurobindo said, he demands of us a labor, a discipline, which he calls a triple labor of aspiration, rejection, and surrender, that we all know. So I do not want to go into the details, but still, these are basically the three prong for those who do not know precisely. Should I repeat once again? Let me repeat it. This triple labor of aspiration, rejection, and surrender. An aspiration vigilant, unceasing, the mind's will, the heart seeking, the ascent of the vital being. The ascent of the vital being, the will to open and make plastic the physical consciousness and nature. Rejection of the movements of the lower nature. We are full of lower natures. That too we'll have to take note of and continuously try to offer these at the hands of the mother, because it is beyond our capability or capacity to effect that change, to ride over all these, because we have these preferences, these habits, these constructions going on for births and births together, which as if they have become layers which are not to go away. So all these and rejection of the vital nature's desires, demands, cravings, sensations, passions, selfishness, pride, arrogance, lust, greed, jealousy, all these are baggages. We carry these baggages from time immemorial. So he, Sri Aurobindo, calls it the triple labor of aspiration, rejection, and surrender, aspiring for a divine life, so far as each one of us is concerned. Then rejection of whatever is a hindrance on the path, and finally surrender only to the divine. And when we pursue these, go through this triple labor, this opens the way to the aspiring seeker for mother's transforming power to penetrate. It is a precondition for all of us, whoever seeks to be instruments in the hands of the mother, to let her work in us, as we all always keep on saying. We might fail 1,000 times, it doesn't matter, but still hold on. She says, hold on to me. In spite of your 1,000 mistakes, hold on to me, because it is I who only can change your nature. So, what we on our part have to do, we'll have to let her work in us. And each of our daily life, each day, in fact, gives us an opportunity to offer ourselves in small things. And these small things slowly becomes big things, becomes incidents, happenings, and slowly we keep on acquiring the habit of offering it to her only, because it is she only who can do it, and because it is her work, and for that matter Sri Aurobindo's, the divines, because it is intended, it is going to be achieved. And for this also, what we need, three things which are very important, as we know already: faith, sincerity, and surrender, the three most important factors which pave the way for her grace and protection. And of course, it is a continuous process which goes on in our being. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we think that we have achieved a little bit, although it's a little bit, but still, through this, every day we are moving forward only. Neither we are stagnated at the same spot where we have been, nor we are regressing or going back. We are always moving forward only. That is for sure. And this way we are slowly moving forward. And here Sri Aurobindo says, when we continue this process, letting the Divine Mother walk in us, in our being, in three modes of our being, that is mind, vital, and the physical also, then what we see, Sri Aurobindo says, the last stage of this perfection will come when you are completely identified with the Divine Mother and feel yourself to be no longer another and separate being, instrument, servant, or worker, but truly a child and eternal portion of our consciousness and force. Always she will be in you and you in her. It will be your constant, simple, and natural experience that all your thought and seeing and action, your very breathing or moving, come from her and are hers. You will know and see and feel that you are a person and power formed by her, out of herself. See the beauty of it. We think, you and me think, that it is I who do the act always. In fact, with the passing of days, we will be realizing this definitively, that it is she, and it is she who has formed us out of herself. That means we are a portion coming out of her only. Can you imagine? Put out from her for the play, and yet always safe in her, being of her being, consciousness of her consciousness, force of her force, and ananda of her ananda. So beautiful. I mean, it's like something, a candid child who knows nothing, who cares for nothing, and relies only on his mother, is the same way she is grooming us, our Divine Mother. So, this is broadly the process through which the yoga is effected in each one of us' being. And the more open and receptive we become with passing of days, with our sincerity, making it a habit always to give ourselves, of course, without calculating what I'll get, what I'll not get, what will be the final result, whether we'll achieve something or not. All these things shunning aside, we should just be like a candid child and lay everything in our hands only. And this is the way through which what Sri Aurobindo calls those three final steps that is psychicization, spiritualization, and also finally the supramentalization. Those three steps will be effected in those who are prepared thus, slowly and slowly. And this is what in fact he spoke of. We all find those beautiful lines, the sun-eyed children of a marvelous dawn in Savitri. So he is preparing us to be the sun-eyed children of a marvelous dawn. And a day will come when we'll have no inkling, no doubt about it, that it is the divine only who has always been behind us means in fact in us, moving through our mind, through ascending through our vital being, purifying, channelizing the vital forces for divine's work, and also the physical body, making it pliable to hold all those higher powers which she, or for that matter they together brought in to the earth atmosphere, so that it can become a vessel to hold it. But before that, the vessel has to be cleaned up, and the process is going on. In fact, we are all the more fortunate to be born at this age when a divine life is being established on earth. This dream has been always there, but to realize this dream, there has to be some kind of a juncture, a passage through which the humanity has to pass through. And we have come through that threshold and crossed over it, and we are just on the verge of becoming what we are intended to. So that is why this particular message of the New Year of the Mother in 1970 is so very important, and it is a direct pointer and question to the whole of humanity, that the world is preparing for a big change. Will you help? Should we say, yes, Mother, because that is the only thing we are supposed to do. And for that, she is always there in all our activities. Whatever we have been doing, even without knowing, whatever we've been doing knowingly, everything sums up and slowly marches towards this end only, that is the final culmination of becoming divine. And that is what the road, the path, the sunlit path leads to, the life divine. Jai Ma. If you have any questions, you can put across. Or should we close the session?
Sir.
Chinta koa.
Sir, মই কুৱেশ্যনটো তেনেকৈ নাই, মই কথাখিনি বুজি পাইছোঁ বাৰু, কিন্তু কি হয় ছাৰ, কেতিয়াবা ছাৰ কিছুমান অকণ হয়, হতাশা আহে, ধৰি লওক সেইটো কেনেকৈ হেৰি কৰিব পাৰি ছাৰ? হতাশা বস্তুটো জীৱনক লৈ বা তেনেকৈ পৰিস্থিতিক লৈ যিটো হতাশা আহে ছাৰ, সেইটো অকণমান কেতিয়াবা সেইটোৱে অকণমান চিন্তিত কৰে, বাকী একো নাই বাৰু। এই হতাশাটোৱে অকণমান চিন্তিত কৰে ছাৰ।
হতাশাটো একচুৱেলি তোমাৰো নহয়, মোৰো নহয়।
হয়
ইট ইজ চামথিং, এয়া আহে একচুৱেলি বাহিৰৰ পৰা আমাক
হয়
বক ডাউন, আমাক মানে দবাই দিবৰ কাৰণে। যেতিয়া আহে আমাৰ কৰণীয় ইয়াত কি, তাৰ লগত আমি আইডেণ্টিফাই নোহোৱাটো। অৰ্থাৎ তুমি
মানে ছাৰ
প্ৰথমতেই তুমি এইটোৱে ভাবিব লাগিব যে হতাশা মানে এটা ষ্টেট, ইট ইজ এ ষ্টেট উইচ ট্ৰাইজ টু ডিৰেইল ইউ। মনত
হয় ছাৰ
যিকোনো কিবা এটা ঘটনা ধৰা হৈছে তোমাৰ লাইফত, যিকোনো সৰু ডাঙৰ, এণ্ড ইট ট্ৰাইজ
হয়
টু ডিমৰেলাইজ ইউ, মেক্স ইউ আনহেপী, হয়নে? সেইটোৱেই।
ছাৰ হয়
কিন্তু তুমি যদি তেতিয়াই ষ্ট্ৰং হোৱা আৰু কোৱা ইট ইজ নট মি, ইট ইজ কামিং ফ্ৰম আউটছাইড অনলি, এণ্ড আই এম নট টু আইডেণ্টিফাই মাই চেল্ফ উইথ দিছ ষ্টেট, যিটো আহি আছে, ইমিডিয়েটলি ইউ কেন
ছাৰ
ষ্টপ ইট। আৰু সেইটো একচুৱেলি প্ৰথম হয়তো অকণমান সময় লাগিব, কিন্তু তুমি সেইটো নিজে যেতিয়া ৰিয়েলাইজ কৰিবা, তেতিয়া কি হ'ব, এনেকুৱা একোৱেই নাথাকিব যি তোমাক কমপ্লিটলি বক ডাউন কৰি দিব পাৰে, বা তোমাক দবাই দিব পাৰে, বা তোমাক
ছাৰ হয়
সেইটো একচুৱেলি কি লাহে লাহে হ'ব। কিন্তু তাৰ কাৰণে আটাইতকৈ ডাঙৰ যিটো কৰিবলগীয়া কাম, সেইটো হ'ল মাক ইনভলভ কৰা। সেইটো মই সেইকাৰণে
ছাৰ মাকটো ছাৰ মই সদায় মানে কি মানে বেছিভাগ সময়তে মতা নিচিনাই হয় বাৰু আজিকালি মাক দিনটোৰ।
এক্সেক্টলি, তুমি সেইটোৱেই কৰি থাকিব লাগিব। আৰু ফেইথটো, যিটো বিশ্বাস, যিটো ভৰসা আমাৰ ওপৰত, সেই ভৰসাটো যিমানেই বাঢ়িব, তুমি দেখিবা আগতে যিবোৰ ঘটনাই তোমাক তুমি কোৱাৰ দৰে হতাশ কৰিছিলে, যিবোৰে তোমাক আগবাঢ়িব নিদিয়ে, তোমাক এজ ইট ইজ কিবা এটা পজিটিভ কৰিব ওলাইছে সেইটো কৰিব নিদিয়ে, কাৰণ কিয় এনেকুৱা এটা ধৰা ঘটনা হ'ল, সেই বস্তুবিলাক, হেৰিবিলাক নাইকিয়া হৈ আহি থাকিব। ইউ কেন টেক ইট ফ্ৰম মি। মই কিহৰ কাৰণে কৈছোঁ, ইট ইজ এন এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ হুইচ গোজ থ্ৰু ইন ইচ ওৱান অফ আছ ইজ লাইফ। যিয়ে মাৰ ওচৰলৈ আহে, শ্ৰী অৰবিন্দৰ ওচৰলৈ আহে, মই তোমাক জাষ্ট এ মোমেণ্ট, আই উড লাইক টু জাষ্ট ৰিড আউট চামথিং। এতিয়া পটককৈ নোলায়। এনিৱে, মই তোমাক আই উইল কাম বেক টু ইউ পিছত বাৰু, সেই পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ ছেকশ্যনটোলৈ মই কথা পাতিম বাৰু। কিন্তু তোমাক এইটোৱে ক'ব বিচাৰোঁ যে তোমাৰ ভৰসা আমাৰ ওপৰত যিমানেই বাঢ়ি যাব দিন যোৱাৰ লগে লগে, সিমানেই তুমি দেখিবা যে যিবিলাক ঘটনা হয়, যিবিলাকে হতাশ কৰে আগতে, সেইবিলাকৰ জোৰটো কমি আহিব, আৰু সেইবিলাকক তুমি এজ এ পাছিং ফেজ হিচাপে চাবা। জাষ্ট তুমি আমাৰ চিনেমাত ৰিলবিলাক দেৱাশিষে ক'ব ভালকৈ, এইটো চিনেমাৰ যিবিলাক তোমাৰ এটাৰ পিছত এটা ৰিল পাছ হৈ গৈ থাকে, ছ' ইউ ডু নট কনচেনট্ৰেট অন ইচ ওৱান অফ ইট। I mean, you do not stuck up. You do not get stuck up there. তুমি কামটো কৰিলা, it goes away, and you look forward to a new one, whatever is coming. হয়নে? কিন্তু তুমি যেতিয়া তুমি পজিটিভ এটা কিবা যদি আহিছে, দেন ইউ হোল্ড অন টু দেট, টেক দ্য এচেঞ্চ অফ ইট এণ্ড ইউটিলাইজ ইট। দেট ইজ দ্য ৰুল অফ নেচাৰ। সেইটোৰ চাবিত্ৰীত খুব ধুনীয়া এটা হেৰি আছে, মই পিছত বাৰু হেৰি কৰিম। চ' বেচিকেলি বস্তুটো কি, ইট ইজ দ্য এচেঞ্চ অফ থিংছ উইচ উই শুড চিজ আপন। যেতিয়া যিকোনো বস্তু আমাৰ লাইফৰ যিকোনো বস্তুৱে যেতিয়া হৈ থাকে, তাৰ যিটো ভাল সেইটো আমি ল'ব লাগে, আৰু বেয়াটো এৰি দিব লাগে। It should not make us suffer, or it should not make us totally under its sway. ই আমাক
ছাৰ হয়
একদম ধাহি মুহি লৈ যাব নো ইট কেনট বি এট ওৱান পইণ্ট অফ টাইম it was true for you and me and for that matter for all of us, but now when you come to the mother and Sri Aurobindo, you will realize doubly more than ever that this is something which is false. It is the root of
ছাৰ
falsehood.
হয়
মানে মিথ্যাচাৰ যিটো কোৱা হয়, it is that which we should not give power to.
ছাৰ হয়
Definitely, I'm sure about it. আৰু সেই লাহে লাহে তুমি নিজেই ৰিয়েলাইজ কৰিবা তোমাৰ লাইফত, whether it's a small
ছাৰ
one. কোৱাচোন।
ছাৰ হয় বাৰু মানে কি মাৰ সম্পৰ্কলৈ অহাৰ পৰা মোৰ বহুত সমস্যাৰ সমাধান হৈ গৈছে বাৰু দেই কিছুমান মানে সৰু সৰু সমস্যাই হওক বাৰু মানে মোৰ বহুত ঘটনা ঘটি গৈছে মোৰ পজিটিভেই হৈছে কিন্তু বেছিভাগ মাৰ ওচৰলৈ অহাৰ পিছৰ পৰা
হ'বই, সেইটো হ'বই।
ছাৰ হয়
And it is the beginning only. You will see
ছাৰ
things
হয়
happening. যি
ছাৰ
পিছলৈ
হয়
হৈ গৈ থাকিব, then a time will come, at least in even we haven't gone too far. আমি
ছাৰ
সেই
হয়
টডলাৰ্ছ বুলি ক'ব পাৰি, আমি এই নাৰ্চাৰীত যে সৰু ল'ৰা ছোৱালীবিলাকে খোজকাঢ়ি যায়, we are in that stage. But even
ছাৰ হয়
in that stage also, whatever
হয়
is our realization, whatever we have learned, I think that is unbelievable, unconceivable. We couldn't think about it earlier.
সঁচাকৈ ছাৰ
So much is she, and she is beyond. She is that. She contains everything. She is the source. She contains the whole creation within herself, and she moves each one of us through this creation, taking us in her stride towards that goal which she has fixed for us. That is the life divine.
ছাৰ
It is only.
ছাৰ মই আৰু এটা অভিজ্ঞতাৰ কথা ক'ব বিচাৰিছোঁ ছাৰ
কোৱাচোন।
মানে মই ছাৰ অলপ দিন হ'ল দুমাহমানৰ আগতে ছাৰ মই মাৰ ফটো আৰু অৰবিন্দৰ ফটো ফ্ৰেমত বনাই ঘৰত আনিছিলো মানে হা তাৰপিছত মই ঘৰত এনেকে মোৰ ৰুমতে লগাই সদায় ফুল চুল দিওঁ প্ৰথমতে মানে মা দেউতাই কৈছে আমাৰতো শংকৰদেৱক বিলিভ কৰো আমি শংকৰদেৱৰ মতে চলো তই এইবিলাক কিয় কৰিছো এইবিলাক কৰিব নালাগে নহয় তাৰপিছত মই একো নকলো মাহঁতক মই মাক প্ৰাৰ্থনা কৰিলো যে মায়ে মোক এই সমস্যাটোৰ পৰা উদ্ধাৰ কৰি দিয়ে তাৰপিছত মানে মায়ে পিছত ঘৰত একো নোকোৱা হ'ল আৰু ঠিক আছে বোলে তই মন গৈছে কৰ তেনেকে কৈছে পিছত প্ৰথমতে কিন্তু বাধা এটা আহিছিলে
বাধাটো আহিবই, কাৰণ যেতিয়া
হয়
কোনোবাই যিকোনো মানুহে যেতিয়া সত্যৰ ফালে আহে, তেতিয়া ফ্ৰম অল ছাইডছ সকলো ফালৰ পৰা তোমাৰ বাধা আহিব, প্ৰব্লেমছ আহিব, ডিফিকাল্টিজ আহিব, জাষ্ট টু keep you away from the truth, just to keep you away from the divine, because people always, not only people, I mean, it is in the terrestrial things, it is the nature in terrestrial atmosphere itself, that whoever tries to seek the truth, whoever wants to belong to divine, he or she will have to go through troubles, difficulties.
ছাৰ হয়
আৰু চোৱা, একচুৱেলি এয়াতো তুমি মই যিবিলাক ট্ৰাবলছ আমি ফেচ কৰিছোঁ, ইট ইজ নাথিং compared to what Sri Aurobindo and the mother, even being the supreme consciousness embodying themselves here on earth, through what calamity, what difficulty they had to take for you and me. Actually, আজি যদিও বৰ বেছি টাইম নাই, আই উড জাষ্ট লাইক টু গ' থ্ৰু, মই ভাবিছিলোঁ যদি সময় হয় আজি, সময়টো ইমান নহ'ব, বাট তেওঁ নিজেই কৈছে আ গডছ লেবাৰ, তেওঁৰ এটা সুন্দৰ কবিতা, কেতিয়াবা আমি ডিছকাছ কৰিম এইটোৰ ওপৰতো। তেওঁ নিজৰ কথাই কৈছে, চাবা দেই, হি হুড ব্ৰিং দ্য হেভেনছ হিয়াৰ মাষ্ট ডিচেণ্ড হিমছেল্ফ ইন টু ক্লে, and the burden of earthly nature bear and tread the dolorous way. যি এই মৰ্তত, এই আৰ্থত স্বৰ্গ নমাই আনিব বিচাৰে, তেওঁ বোকাত লুতুৰি পুতুৰি হ'বই লাগিব। ইয়াৰ ছেকেণ্ড পেছেজটো ইনফেক্ট আৰু বিউটিফুল। Coercing my Godhead, I have come down here on the sordid earth, ignorant, laboring, human grown, twixt the gates of death and birth, straight. কি কৈছে যে coercing my Godhead, মোৰ ভগৱত্ব, because he has come from that sphere, the supreme conscious, the state of supreme consciousness, Satchidananda, both of them have come down from that realm. Coercing my Godhead, I have come down here on the sordid earth. Sordid means য'ত শোচনীয় অৱস্থা, আমাৰ আৰ্থ এনেকুৱা এখন ঠাই য'ত প্ৰব্লেমছ ডিফিকাল্টিজ বাহিৰে একোৱে নাথাকে, বিকজ it is in the lower nature. So what he has come down here, coercing my Godhead, I have come down here on the sordid earth, ignorant, laboring, human grown, twixt the gates of death and birth. তেওঁ আমাৰ দৰে, তোমাৰ মোৰ দৰে অজ্ঞ শ্ৰম কৰিব লগা হৈছে, হিউমেন গ্ৰোন, আমাৰ দৰে মানৱী ৰূপ ল'ব লগা হৈছে, আৰু আমাৰ দৰে জন্ম আৰু মৃত্যুৰ দুৱাৰদলিৰ মাজেৰে যাব লগা হৈছে. He himself has written it. এইটো পঢ়িলে কেতিয়াবা তোমাৰ you will, I think, if you concentrate on this particular poem, you have to, there is no other alternative, but you have to cry. You'll feel, because you will get identified with it. So whatever it is, এতিয়া চোৱা, তেওঁলোকে আৰু মাৰ কথা মই কোৱাই নাই. If you go through mother's agenda, in fact, she is the one who, through all these years, till the last day when she left her physical body, on each day, she had to fight. She had to take all the troubles from you and me. Tumar mur jibilak problems ase, she took it in her own being. And taking those problems, she kept on transforming, even right down to the cells, group of cells. And even not only the group of cells, but even a single cell. Can you imagine? তোমালোকে যেতিয়া তোমালোকৰ সময় হ'ব হয়তো, তেতিয়া তোমালোকে যেতিয়া পঢ়িবা Mother's Agenda, that is a 13-volume thing, agenda, I think everything will go topsy-turvy. লাইফ কি, আমাৰ জীৱন কি, আমি কোন দিশত আগবাঢ়িছোঁ, পৃথিৱী কোন দিশত আগবাঢ়িছে, আৰু সাধাৰণতে মানুহে কেনেকৈ অনুভৱ কৰে, এই গোটেইবিলাকৰ যেতিয়া কথা আমি জানিম, দেন ইউ উইল চি what actually we are and what we are intended to be. It is only the divine being we are intended to be. আৰু পিছত এইবিলাক আলোচনা কৰিম বাৰু, কিন্তু হতাশা এইবিলাক, all these negative traits, straight away shun it off, shrug it off. এইবিলাক তোমাৰ নহয়. প্ৰথম সেইটোৱে ভাবিবা যে এয়া মোৰ নহয়, এয়া মোক পথৰ পৰা আঁতৰাই দিবৰ কাৰণে আহিছে, because it is the path which leads you to divine only.
ধন্যবাদ স্যার.
Sir, I have a question also, sir.
Yeah, Mrinmoy.
Sir, can good come without being accompanied by evil?
That's a beautiful question, actually. We normally think that, yes, without going through evil, without going through suffering, good, or the state of goodness should come. We should leave that state. But the state of earth is in such a way formed till now, because the supramental force which we have been talking about, which was brought down by Sri Aurobindo and the mother together in 1956, it is operating, but it has not been able to operate fully in all of us because we are still under the sway of the lower nature. The more we collaborate, that is why the collaboration is very, very necessary. The more we get together and collaborate, the more the work will be speeded up. And through that process only, what you are saying, we should expect, that is, without going through evil, can we, or is it possible to get goodness or a state of goodness? So that will be possible only then. But before that, one has to go, at least uh, to some extent, to a great extent rather, one has to go through all this. There is no shortcut. In fact, Sri Aurobindo has very beautifully said in Savitri, he who wishes to reach heaven must go through hell. That suffices. So, if you are a candidate for that state, that is supramentalization or the higher state of consciousness, then you are supposed to go through all the trials and tribulations that come your way. And it is only for those who are sincere, who at least try to be sincere, those trials and tribulations will be mounting to them, just to taste that whether they are truly sincere or not, whether they are true candidates for the divine life or not. So that we cannot, shrug off so easily. But even then, I would just like to add something here, Mrinmoy, that even then, while going through all these troubles also, she being there, the Divine Mother, she sees that we are not totally broken up into pieces while going through this process. She takes care of that also. And she makes our suffering, difficulties as less as possible. That is for sure. Is it all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. That means you said that the divine force is established in the earth, divinity is established. So that means we have a direct role to play also, no?
Definitely,
Yeah.
we have a direct role to play. The more we are open and receptive to her working and let the Divine Mother work in our whole being, in our mind, in our vital, in our physical also, the more we are sincere about it, the more will the growth of our being will be, and the more the progress for which she is working on earth. That is what, in fact, there was a message in, like the one we had discussed today. There was a message, a New Year message of 1967, I think, in which she said that the choice is imperative. The choice is imperative. You'll have the exact wordings I do not remember, but see, something like that. The choice is imperative. Truth or the abyss means it is left to humanity to choose the truth or the abyss. So the more we go towards truth, more we seek the truth in spite of troubles, in spite of difficulties, then the journey will be shorter, getting shorter and shorter by each passing day.
Thank you, sir. Sir, another, this Savitri, no? So there is a story in Mahabharata, no?
Yeah.
Like Savitri Satyavan. So the name Savitri actually extracted from that mythological story.
Yes, it is true. But what Sri Aurobindo wrote in this particular Savitri is not the description the description we find in normal Mahabharata's folklore, Savitri, but through this, that is why you will see here in the first pages itself what he has written. It is Savitri, a legend and a symbol. It is
अच्छा,
through this legend of Savitri, Sri Aurobindo has been taking us through all that has the creation has gone till date and will be going. In fact, it is something which you should know about it when you go through Savitri, because everything is contained in this particular book. The creation, right from the day of creation till what is going to come in the future, everything is contained in this particular book. And mind you, it is one single poem, the longest one in the English literature. So the more you delve into it without trying to know it, understand it through your mind, the more you delve into it, let it penetrate into your being, then you will slowly and slowly be realizing that whatever is the present understanding of a few lines which you have read, it will be totally different afterwards. With the passing of days, the meaning of each line will change its colors, because through reading through this, you will rise in the levels of consciousness slowly and slowly. That's why I told you that whenever it will be possible for me, I'll send you a copy, although you have a soft copy.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let us close the session today.
Okay, sir. Thank you.